Welcome to the Pop Tower Podcast with your host, the man behind the myth, Peter Dawson, and the Soulful Lordy, James Bullock.
It's time, James. You know what time it is?
I don't know, Peter. What time is it?
Well, if I can't save this world, you can be damn sure I'm going to avenge it.
Oh!
Da 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 da. Pop Tower 85. It's hard to set that title to that song. And I love how I started to lisp at the end, too.
Yes!
Yeah, so it's episode 85 of the Pop Tower, and it's going to be a marvelous episode. Not for the first time. Because we're going to talk about two things Marvel-ish.
Yes.
Because we're talking about Avengers, the 2020 video game, not to be confused with, 19 other properties that have just the name
I was about to say,
it.
the comic book series, the movies, the television shows, the cartoons.
Yeah, and are we going back to 1962? Are we talking about a British TV show? Oh yeah, I should probably mention, because, man, we did the freaking Black Panther retrospective, and I mentioned Diana Rigg, and then she died before that episode came out.
Yes, it was crazy.
Oh, that's awkward. And then, then it turns out, it's not been a great couple of weeks for, James Bond people, too, because then Michael Lonsdale just died.
No, it was
Lonsdale.
really strange.
He's still one of my favorite Bond villains, even though he's not great.
Right.
Just because he has one of the best lines ever. Look after Mr. Bond. See that some harm comes to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's actually talk about what we're here to talk about. So we're talking about the 2020 Avengers game, which is interesting for me because so it's done by Crystal Dynamics, who have been handling Tomb Raider. Did they always do Tomb Raider, or was it a different studio before that?
No, it was Eidos wasn't it Eidos back in the day?
Yeah, because they were acquired by Eidos, and then Square-Enix acquired Eidos.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it was Eidos helped produce the Final Fantasy VII PC ports and stuff.
That's right, yeah.
Back in 98, 99. And so Square Enix had a partnership with them going back at least that far, and then they acquired them in 2009, so it's a full subsidiary of Square Enix.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I nearly went on another recent news tangent, but let's cut that down a bit. You know what I'm thinking about, though.
Oh my goodness, the reason we may have to get an Xbox. X or Series.
No, I don't think it's going to do it for me.
Oh, really? Right, wow!
Look, if it was 2016, I might have agreed with you.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
Oh, okay. Let's go on.
Yeah. So, yeah, in this case, so they're known for doing, Tomb Raider and stuff, and I think they did something else, too, didn't they?
No, I was thinking IO Interactive that time. I was about to say Hitman. But,
no, that's it, man. That's different.
Yeah.
No, it looks like it was just mostly Tomb Raider. Oh, they did Legacy of Kain and Gex.
Ah, there you go.
I don't remember Gex, but I do remember Legacy
of
Kain.
I remember the commercials, the printed ads in EGM magazines and Game Informers more than I remember the actual game when it comes to Gex.
So anyway, this is an attempt to be both a tie-in to the Marvel craze that's been going on since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
But was not meant to be just a video game adaptation of a movie, we've seen so many times where most of them suck.
Right.
Much like what happened with the Spider-Man game that came out not too long ago, which we both loved.
Yes.
And
I think that's what we were both coming in with hopes for when they announced this game too.
Well, I know, because I remember actually being quite hyped for this.
Yes, when the trailer dropped, I remember. Yes, we both were because, as you said, we were really hyped coming off of Spider-Man.
Yeah, we were hyped, and this dropped alongside the confirmation when Remake was going to come out.
Yes.
And they also dropped the FF8 remaster.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped a bunch of other stuff too, but probably the two arguably biggest highlights of that announcement were 7 Remake and Avengers.
Right.
And they even made a big deal about the casting, which is kind of unusual, where they picked basically some of the most well-known voice actors. they could get. Like, Troy Baker's playing Hulk. We got Travis Willingham playing Thor. Nolan North is Iron Man. Laura Bailey is Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was really weird because even from the get-go, they kind of downplayed the fact that there was going to be a sixth character, because it was like, you had Hulk, Black Widow, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and another?
Yeah, mystery? Who could this be?
Yeah, and then even from the initial trailer, they were kind of teasing there was going to be Kamala Khan, and then
right.
it took them a while to fully confirm it, and then lo and behold, she's like the main character.
It was funny because everyone was already predicting it. Like, everyone was saying, like, it's obviously going to be Miss Marvel's going to be Kamala. And they took so long to reveal it. And it was actually hilarious when they did reveal it because it took so long.
I know, because it was weird, because they announced it alongside, like, a DLC reveal. Which
yes.
was like, and, like, I remember we commented on this in the group chat. It was like, and then our buddy RD was like, didn't this already get confirmed? Actually, no. And I pointed out, no, this is the first concrete time they've confirmed it. Which is the funny thing, because it was rumored for so long. Yeah, so the plot of this one is kind of an alternate universe telling of the Avengers, where they kind of hew close to the movies but don't, which is interesting. In this case, it's got the classic six from the original movie, but then minus Hawkeye, who's retired or something. And they have now revealed their own personal helicarrier.
Yes.
The Chimera.
Yes.
Which I'm like, that's not the best name to inspire heroism. And then it's like, yeah, we're powering it by this mysterious crystal we found. It's like that. Oh boy, like you know, comic book plots being what they are.
Yeah, like everything about it is like, this is just an experiment that is set for danger, and our superheroes for some reason cannot comprehend this.
I know, and like the plot is both, okay, this feels straight out of a comic book, and okay, this is honestly kind of dumb, but at least they're acknowledging it.
Right. Like,
because Millen was immediately like, we were so stupid. I'm like, yes, you were. You know, at least they're admitting it, and it's like, I agree with you. Which I will say, you know, some other plots, they never acknowledge when they make mistakes, which is always annoying. Anyway, but yeah, and then of course it's like, who could be the bad guy in this plot? Could it be the new guy?
Yeah. The one scientist that sounds like he is jealous of the attention that the rest of the Avengers are getting.
Yeah. This very suspicious new guy, who's also a mad scientist. Yeah, he can't possibly be evil. So, you know, you got to kind of roll with that. I mean, like, the actual character work they do, from what I've seen, is pretty good.
Yeah, you know, there's certain interactions, especially with early on with Kamala and Tony, that I really did enjoy. It was short. It wasn't like the most long-lived situation, like, oh, we got this great arc of mentor and student kind of narrative, similar to what we had like with Tony and Peter Parker in the movie, in the MCU. Mm-hmm. But like the moments that they do happen, it's really, really nice. I enjoyed the moments between Bruce and Kamala, but then there were like moments later on in the story that don't feel as profound. Like, really all of Thor. Like, everything about Thor in the story is pretty poorly done. Like, I know a lot of people have already known about the story, the beginning of the story, where we had this big event and pretty much the Avengers get disassembled because of mutations that have happened due to this mysterious crystal that nobody understood how it worked.
The Terrigen crystal.
Yeah.
Which anyone who knows anything about the Inhumans knows, oh, this is where this is going.
Exactly. So we get to that point, and once Kamala tries to figure out how can I bring the Avengers back, you know, Thor arrives, and I will spoil this because it's such a terrible reveal. He arrives like in the middle of a chaotic moment, which is fine, but he comes dressed like he's a tour guide, a pair of khakis, shirt with a name tag on it, gets the hammer and just like, okay, now I gotta go back to work. It's no build up, there's no search for him. It's just like, oh, Thor just showed up when he needed to show up, and that was it. Like, that kind of stuff was very disappointing. But unfortunately, the biggest probably disappointment of the fact is that the story is so short. Like, it's barely 10 hours.
Mm.
So you don't get like really a good amount of screen time with a lot of the characters, and the feel that, you know, I've been on this epic journey. Like, you can compare it, I hate to compare it to Spider-Man because it's not the same type of game, but if you want to go from a story beat perspective, if you compare it to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, that had such a nice arc.
Oh,
Various arcs, especially just the relationship between Doc and Peter. Like, you really get moments and glimpses of that, but it really doesn't come into fruition with this game, because really it's not meant to be. It's one of those things where they kind of like give you enough to say, hey, here's a story, it's solid, but what we really want you to do is what happens after the story. And that's, I know, one of the biggest problems both of us had when it comes to the presentation of this game.
Well, no, just the gameplay in general right off the bat, because I played the beta, and oh my god, the gameplay is terrible.
I won't say it's terrible. I will say
I will.
I won't say it's completely terrible, because I think it's a little bit more fun a little bit later on in the game, especially when you have, I will say this. The final mission is like the best presentation, the best aspect of the gameplay. Like, if you really wanted to see the best presentation of the gameplay, that's it. But a majority of the time, it is so bare bones. Like, there's nothing that makes you want to do anything more than just punch, do a special move, punch. Like, that's it. You don't have.
It's not even like Dynasty Warriors levels of fun.
You have no incentive to do anything experimental with it when it comes to the gameplay.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing that is, when you say it's terrible, I hated the flying. I hated flying in this game. I don't care if I was playing with Thor or Iron Man, I hated flying.
Well, I know, like the flying wasn't great, the platforming was pretty awful.
Oh man, thankfully the platform is not that numerous, but yeah, that was really terrible, especially like when you're platforming with Hulk. Like, that was just awkward.
And like, I love how they were touting, like, everyone feels unique. I'm like, no, they frickin' don't.
No, the only thing that feels unique is, like, okay, certain weapons, of course, like Thor's hammer being a projectile for a long-range attack. Like, that feels different than Kamala's elastic fist.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Like, Black Widow has guns for a ranged attack, and she can move a little bit differently than Captain America. But everyone but, like, the Hulk feels like they move at the same pace.
I know, it's like, because they want to try and balance the characters so well, it's like, frickin' Hulk is, like, getting stun-locked and stuff. I'm like, man, when you play as Hulk, you should have different problems. Like, it felt wrong, especially because Hulk is, the model's bigger and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're just as weak as everyone else. It's like, like, when you play Dynasty Warriors and you're playing as Liu Bu and you're like, I shouldn't be having this much trouble. I'm Liu Bu.
Right.
It's like that, but worse.
Yeah, because you're being hit with, like, by robots and even just regular human enemies. And you just feel like, if you're playing as the Hulk specifically,
yeah,
if they hit him, it should not affect him. He should just turn around and slap him.
I know.
Like, he should not be getting stun locked.
Like, the Hulk getting stun locked is one of the dumbest concepts to me. I appreciate that, again, they were trying to go for gameplay balance, but narrative versus gameplay conventions, and the gameplay conventions won to make it a more balanced game, but it also makes it a less fun game, and it also makes it a more frustrating game.
Yes.
Which just, I feel like I'm not going to come across, this argument's not going to come across well for me, but, like, it just didn't feel, like, almost none of the characters felt remotely unique.
Oh,
and then,
they don't.
And, like, I don't know, it's just...
As I said, there's no incentive of being imaginative with it. And one of the reasons, because there's really not that much you can do individually that makes it feel like, okay, I can do this with this character that's advantageous if I'm in this position, in this predicament, that this other character can't. Like, that's one of the things that, and once again, like you said, I understand the balancing aspect. Like, they want you to be able to play with any character that you want and enjoy yourself. But by doing so, you take away the individuality, because then everyone has to be the same way, because if you don't, then one's going to feel weaker than the other, and then that character's not going to be played with. Which, of course, like you said, just makes it feel a lot less enjoyable. The fact that
100%.
the Hulk is just so...
the Hulk is the most glaring, because he's one of the ones you start with.
Yeah, like I was thinking, okay, play the beta, pretty annoying. And the sad thing about it, like when you play the beta, they have both, well, any character, because they have you play pretty much every character in the beta. They have them all jacked up because, of course, it's a beta. You got special skills and abilities that you wouldn't have at that point in the game when you actually play the full game. But Hulk still felt just as bad in the beta jacked up as he is just like base Hulk in the game.
That's the insane thing. And then it's got the overcomplicated inventory system.
The gear system. Oh my goodness.
It's awful.
It is so bad. Like, that for me was one of the worst aspects of the game. Not because there's so many, you get so much that really means absolutely nothing in the end, because by the time you do another mission, you get even better gear that's just minusculely, insignificantly better than the gear that you have on now.
It's freaking Destiny, man.
But the biggest thing for me is that the gear not only is just a number that really means little to nothing, but it also shows nothing. You do not get any physical representation of what you're wearing as gear on screen.
Yeah, that's true. At least with freaking Destiny, like, they have stuff where it's like you get to show off your cool new thing.
Right.
Even though you have an absurd amount of things. Like, it's like they're trying to combine superheroes with looter shooters and try to make it like a freaking MMO.
Right.
And it's not good at any of them. Like, I told you, okay, I don't think, did we record this? I don't think we ever did. Can I rant for a moment about what happened with the beta?
No, we have not recorded this, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I know I bitched about it before to you.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying out the beta, and, like, then I discover, oh, you have to deploy, like, this is XCOM, but it's a lobby system. I'm like, oh no, is this how the online aspect is going to go?
Yes, it is.
And then, yep, that's exactly how this is going to go. It's like, you have to recruit a party. I'm like, oh, screw that, I'll go solo. So I try to go solo. It's like, all right, exiting lobby. And I'm like, what do you mean exiting lobby? No, I want to go solo. So I try to launch solo, and all of a sudden I got a party member from another player. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then I get a voice chat from him, and he just starts screaming at me. I'm like, what? And then he adds me as a friend. I'm like, what? So then I quit the game, go into my friends list, and try to figure out how to block him on PlayStation, because I'm like, yeah, I didn't agree to any of this.
Right.
So like, the game was almost like spyware, where it's like, you're now friends with this guy you don't know. I'm like, so I had to change my privacy settings. It was the whole thing, and I'm just like, I hate this so much. So then I go back in, I start playing, I go through solo, and then finally when I beat, like, the mission, all of a sudden I got a party member again. I'm like, where did this guy come from?
What?
I wanted to go offline. So, like, the game's like, no, you want to do it online.
Yeah,
so, first of all, it's forcing me to make friends, and I don't appreciate that, because I like to make friends on my own terms.
Right.
Yeah, which I'm sure for people who like to play online that might sound weird, but, you know, like, first of all, as a person who was hoping to play this not having to go online, I was really pissed off by that.
Yeah, it's weird because it has this enabling matchmaking system where you just hit the square button and you can enable it or disable it. And I've had it enabled. Usually I always had it enabled. But, of course, for some reason it would take forever to find a person to play with, so usually I just go solo. And then, of course, as you said, you're in the middle of a mission, and somebody will just pop in randomly, or you're not, or somebody, of course, you know, you have your dropout moments, and then even if you disable it, it still will make you wait for somebody to show up.
That's so dumb.
Like, they definitely want you to play with other people, but yeah, for me personally, I haven't had as many disconnect problems or connectivity issues in the full game as I did with the beta. The beta was absolutely atrocious.
Oh yeah, no, the beta was awful, but I mean, it was a beta, really, so I could live with that.
Yeah.
If that was the only problem I had with the beta, we'd be laughing.
I know, it really is, but no, and there's no like level matchmaking when it comes to the matchmaking either. So you could one of the more recent ones that I played, I'm like a level 6 or 7, if I'm remembering correctly. Another person came in, it was like a level 3, and then another person came in that was a level 99. So of course, with the way that they do the enemies, they try to average out the enemy levels.
Boy.
Yeah. So that was a massacre.
Yeah.
That was a massacre.
What's
And...
wrong, James? Don't you like 9 Inch Nails? I don't know if that was the best reference there, but...
Oh, man, that was great.
That
was
felt
great
appropriate to say at that moment.
But, yeah, that whole deal of averaging out enemy levels, according to the party average. And, just the feeling of a lacking reward system, topped off by the fact that the multiplayer missions are some of the most mundane and uninspired missions I've seen in quite some time, including various missions such as go into this block and stand there so Jarvis can hack into the system, or go into the circle and stand there so you can enter a building, or destroy a certain amount of enemies that just so happen to have a lot of armor on them, even though they're not that much different or even more difficult than they were when they didn't have armor on them. Or do everything that I just said in the same mission. Like, that's what you get when it comes to the multiplayer experience. When it comes specifically the post missions after the story. Like, it is some of the most repetitive, mundane missions I've seen. Like, the stuff that you experienced in the beta is the exact same missions that they have in the full game. But they have it in more numbers for you to play. Because, of course, we have nothing for you to do until we get some more DLC to come out. That hopefully will give you 3 extra missions of story content.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
I know, they were really pumping out that they wanted to support this game for years to come. I'm like, so how are they going to do this? And sure enough, it's like, buy skins, buy loot boxes. I'm like, oh, wait, sorry, do they actually have loot boxes? I don't think they have loot boxes.
No, they don't have loot boxes, but they do have the ability to buy... Okay, they have hero challenge cards, which are pretty much for every character, for every 5 levels that you get with that character, they unlock a specific certain amount of things. It can be a skin, and maybe just extra gear, what have you. But of course, you can pay real money and just automatically unlock every hero challenge card that you want.
James, that sounds like loot boxes with extra steps.
Exactly.
That sure won an Emmy, by the way.
Yeah.
Topical.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so, like, I don't know, man. Can you even recommend this game?
I look at it as a situation where, hey, if you like grindy games with just this fake reward system, bare bones combat, and you have some friends that enjoy it the same, yeah, I could recommend this when that inevitable Game of the Year edition comes out, when like all the DLC is there, and since there's like no PvP, it doesn't matter what level you are. You can start in 2021, and you can start a year after it's come out, and you can still enjoy it the same as you would if you played it now. You just have more DLC. I would say just wait a year. If you're actually interested in this game, wait a year and get like everything at one time. But if you were expecting something similar to like Spider-Man, look elsewhere. Just get the Game of the Year edition of Spider-Man. Just wait until Miles Morales comes out, because since it is now coming out on PS4, you can enjoy it there if you don't get a PS5. And just enjoy that, because this is not the type of game that we were expecting when it came to like an Avengers presentation and an Avengers licensed property video game.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm really pissed off with the whole, each character is going to feel unique. They really don't.
No, they don't.
And like
the
skill
only thing that feels unique is the fact that Hulk sucks. And that's what feels unique.
You didn't make the characters feel more unique. You just made Hulk suck more. And then it was like the skill upgrades aren't terribly interesting. It's
majority. I was like looking through them while I was going through the skill tree. And I was like, how useful are any of these? Like a majority of them, like 90% of them, I was looking through. I was like, I'm never going to use this. I'm never going to need this.
Yeah. Which kind of sums up the game for me. I'm never going to use this.
Yeah, I actually kept it around for about another week just to kind of like incentivize myself to play some more, and just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
I feel you. So, do we want to just move on at this point?
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's something that has come to an end, but we said we should have ended it 2 seasons ago because they had a perfect ending.
Yeah, no, this last couple of seasons weren't great.
No.
I was gonna say. Although, like I like this season more than the last one.
Same here. Same here.
So we're talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, I mean, yeah, after... Man, I barely remember what happened in 6.
I was literally trying to remember before we did those. Like, was this the season that they jumped the shark? And I was like, no, that was 5? Wait, no, I cannot remember.
No, 5 at least ended properly and had some interesting stuff going on.
Right.
Like, it got weird with how with the Kree makeup and everything, and it was just like, some of the stuff just looked really ugly, and there was a lot of dark corridors, and then we got more dark corridors in season 6. Dark corridors were kind of a recurring motif in the last 3 seasons.
Got the good old-fashioned doppelganger gimmick in season 6, and...
Yeah, and then we got another one in season 7.
And then we got season 7!
Like, the first few seasons, you know, they had ups and downs, but were pretty solid. 5 was both really good and kind of terrible.
Yeah, that was one of those ones where, like, we had such... It started off so bad with season 5, and then, like, finally got into a groove. And then it kind of fell apart a little bit at the end, and then it was like, oh, what a great finale. Like, if they're going to end it here, I'm perfectly fine with the way the season went. And then they announced season 6.
Yeah, and season 6 was kind of a mess.
Yeah, very much so.
And it also felt like they were retconning stuff, which was really awkward.
And it's funny because, like, I was looking through them talking about, like, the writing process coming into season 6 and season 7, and they were saying, like, how strict the studio heads in Marvel were when it came to the original scripts. But, like, the last couple of seasons, they kind of let them do whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely shows.
Yeah. And then, now 7. Man, dark corridors again. I like this season more than the other 2, but...
I definitely did. And the best part about it was the fact, like, I got so excited because the way it started off. Because, of course, we're still in the whole idea of time traveling. But they started off so much like, oh, we're going back to the kind of detective style that really was so good in the first few seasons. And what better time to do that than the era of Prohibition? Like, oh, that was some good stuff. I love that. Honestly, that was my favorite part of the whole season, was that first few episodes.
Oh, yeah, no, because, the historical stuff, especially, like, the first 4 episodes. Because we get the 2 episodes in 1931, where they're dealing with, they're basically trying to save Hydra from being destroyed before it truly begins.
Yeah, because, like, the big twist, which they actually show in the trailer, so it's not a shocking revelation or a surprise or a spoiler, is the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. will not exist if Hydra doesn't.
Which is, the one begets the other thing. And as a result, it goes through S.H.I.E.L.D.'s history over the course of the season in very interesting ways.
Yes.
Well, some more interesting than others. Of course, it's a time travel thing, and it's a series with superheroes and all this other stuff. So, of course, they go to Area 51.
Yeah.
You saw that coming.
Yeah. I love the explanation of it, too.
Yeah. But, like, one of the things, though, that I didn't like what they did with the Chronicoms in Season 6.
Yes.
Especially with how they were introduced in 5. Like, it felt like a weird retcon.
Yes, it was, yeah.
And then, 7, though, okay, at least they're making that retcon mean something. Because the Chronicoms were so boring in 6 after being very interesting in 5.
Yes.
Because they had, this weird technology, they were immortal, all this stuff going on, right? Because, they're this weird combination of robot, but yet still sort of flesh. It's it's strange, right?
They're very humanoid.
And in 6, they just felt like generic space-hopping bad guys. And like,
exactly,
well,
yeah.
Like, that's one of the big things for 6 for me, because they introduced the Chronicoms, which I don't even remember if they're in the comics.
I don't either. Yeah.
Like they might I don't know if they're. I don't want to give them the credit for being original if they're not, but they were genuinely interesting. And then 7 finally uses them at least to a better extent.
Yes.
Because now they're time traveling.
We still have the time hopping goons, but they actually have a purpose this time.
Yeah. Exactly, and they really go into time a bit more with the branching timelines and things, which is something like Endgame, of course, they had an explanation, but then they kind of biffed it with the way they shot some of the scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, it didn't fully make sense. I like the explanation that the directors gave, but it's different than what the writers said. And so it's just like, okay, you guys couldn't agree on things. Like, in this case, they tried to agree on it more, which led to some really interesting developments.
Yeah,
Especially,
it really did.
which one is the one with the really shocking twist?
Well, we had a couple.
Oh, it was the end of 6. Because like, episode 5 kind of sucked. But then the end of 6 was a big, oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the one I was thinking about. I couldn't remember what the episode it was.
Yeah.
I was just reading over the recap. Yeah, that's the episode. Like,
yeah, because like the first 4 are pretty solid because we get like the two in 1931 where we're talking about how you need Hydra to have S.H.I.E.L.D. the way it is, and like, you know, it's like having to, which gets into like, by the way, this does a better job than the comic book version of Age of Ultron does with its central dilemma,
yeah,
or what ended up being its central dilemma, I should say, because Age of Ultron was a meandering story. It's like, Ultron's invaded from the future, I guess, and then the actual plot becomes, oh, what does it mean to kill Ultron, to kill the creator of Ultron before Ultron's created? I'm like, okay, that's an interesting plot point.
yeah.
But it feels, you know, it's like, now I'm just thinking about how much I hated Age of Ultron. Again, the book, not the movie. I actually kind of enjoyed the movie. I think it's very underrated in the Marvel universe.
I do too. I totally agree.
Like, it's not my favorite, but I think when you say, oh, it's not my favorite, you know, don't take that to mean...
No, I'm not saying it was a failure of a movie. I'm just saying it was a solid B plus A minus.
Yeah, that's still fine.
Right.
Like, again, it won't be in my top 5, but... yeah, so... And they do some interesting stuff where they also tie into Agent Carter by introducing, pretty early on, Daniel Souza.
Yes.
Yes, which was an interesting tie-in. And they actually do stuff with him, which I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And like, so like, as a result, they kind of do that thing where they look into the backstories of characters, so it's almost like a weird prequel, but with time travel.
Yes.
So you get a lot of characters in sort of a prequel state, which is really interesting. Like, we get, what's his name? It's not Gideon Malik, it's Nathaniel Malik.
Yes, Nathaniel. Yes.
His prepubescent brother. I'm sorry, the actor looks really weird.
I know, he was so funny looking. Like, I was off put by him, honestly.
He looks like how most people who detract from Jennifer Lawrence playing characters clearly older than she is. Like, I don't see that with Jennifer Lawrence. I totally see it with this guy.
Him,
like,
yes.
If this guy turns out he's like 40 or something, I'm like, he looks like 19.
That makes sense. That perfectly made sense.
Yeah, if you understand what I'm talking about now. Yeah, but like, despite that, like, I feel like I'm crapping on a guy who's just doing his job, man.
No, he definitely. I will say he did a wonderful job in making me dislike him, not just because he had a punchable face.
Yeah, no, his character was very wormy, and well, some of the stuff he did was questionable. Like, it's like you're just trying to make him more of a villain.
I was going to say some of the things he did, especially with his interaction with Daisy, was like, okay, now you're in cartoon super villainy mode.
Yeah. But other stuff was actually really clever. Like, one of my favorite things he does, like, we're jumping ahead here, like, I loved episode 9. That's one of my favorites in the season. Mild spoiler, it's a time loop episode.
Yeah.
And I am a sucker for a good time loop episode. Mm-hmm. And that was a good one. I mean, I've seen some bad ones before. That was definitely not one of them. And I especially loved the unique aspect there when the one character gets really annoyed.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil more than that, but
no. That's a really good episode. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it actually had consequences, which I also appreciated. But then right after that, episode 10, where we got to at least mention this because Bill Paxton, of course, passed away, and he was the main villain of the first season. I think that's a fair spoiler to reveal at this point.
Yes.
But they cast James Paxton, his son, to play a younger version of his character from season 1, John Garrett.
Yeah, it was such a
my god, those two really do look alike.
Oh my goodness, it was such a great touch. Like, you could not have found a better idea when it came to that. Like, that was wonderful.
And he's actually a pretty good actor.
He's
really good at impersonating his dad.
He did very well.
Oh, I know, he was great. Like, the only thing is, like, they still look different enough that sometimes it's like, that looks weird.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, like, there's some shots, like, I think it's like, the forehead looks both right and wrong. if you're following me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They kind of have the same forehead, but then they don't have like anywhere near the same hairline, which is probably partially because Bill was, of course, older.
Right.
But like, so it's like it kind of looks like he might be photoshopped, but he's not. You know, just when you know who he's supposed to be looking like, it's like, family resemblance is weird. I mean, I've got a nice round face, and my brother's got a nice narrow face. So what am I saying? I feel like I'm crapping on people's appearances a lot this episode.
So we're a stickler for the looks today.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Not my beautiful face. But no, yeah, he was great. He was great in his little appearance there.
Yeah, short-term appearance. Like I understand why we couldn't see more of him, but man, that episode was really good, and he was one of the main reasons for it.
Oh, 100%. Like that was all really well done.
Yeah.
And then but then we got a little fanficky at points.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially during
especially when we go back to Afterlife.
Yeah.
Oh man. But then and of course we had the big twist where Fitz isn't in basically the entire season.
Yeah, that I understood like that was going to be a major point of the story because of how the end of season 6 happened. But I really did not expect them to hold him off that long.
Yeah, I know, they really did.
Yeah.
And it's not even like he was doing that much else, right? It was like
no!
I don't think he was filming anything else at the time. It was just they decided to really hold him back.
Right, like it was so weird. And like they had it kind of like of a tease at the beginning, like, and I thought that he was going to show up at least midway through. And lo and behold, no, they decided, no, we're gonna milk this thing for all it's worth.
Yeah, I think the closest thing was he was in that miniseries with Tom Hollander.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Us. Because he was playing a younger version of Tom Hollander.
Okay, all right.
But that shouldn't have entirely biffed him from being like they probably knew he was going to be filming something else. But I don't think they decided, oh, okay, we just won't use him then.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Don't know what else to say at this point. Like, yeah, overall, your thoughts on the season?
I thought it was solid. I once again, though, I just feel so bad because, as we said, I will not let this go. The 5th season had such a perfect ending.
Mm-hmm.
And these 2 seasons, even though this was better than the last one, still felt unnecessary in the grand scheme of things. Like, there were things that happened that, added to the lore, added to the universe, but if they never existed, if these 2 seasons never existed, I don't think the show would have been any worse off.
No, like, the closest is we get a borderline fanficky ending for Daisy.
Right.
Like you have to admit, her storyline in particular feels the most fanficky.
And the worst part about it was like we had the whole build-up of her becoming an inhuman or at least accepting her powers. And, like, it has gone way beyond that now. Like you say, it feels like legit fan fiction now of her character handling.
And then she went off into space.
Right!
I don't think that's much of a spoiler.
No!
Who she's with, I won't spoil.
No, we'll not spoil that. That was something that was... It wasn't that shocking, considering their interactions, but it was like, wow, I did not expect him to make it that far. But I will say, though, the ending, the overall series ending, was really well done. Like, that downtime was really well done in the sense of, like, oh, we're taking a breather now. And really realizing this is the last time we're going to see all of these characters together at one time. Like, I love that part. But still, I felt the same way about Season 5. And that had, like, more of an emphatic oomph behind it than this one did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like Season 5 had the oomph of, okay, now they're in space. This one was Season 7, they're going through time, because of course they are. It's like... It really reminds me of the old conversation they had about Mario Galaxy. It was like, once you go to space, it's really hard to go back.
It's really hard to go anywhere else.
I mean, the closest they had was a joke about Mario's time-space continuum, which is kind of what Mario Odyssey is.
Right.
So it's like, okay, fair point. But yeah, in this case, it's like, once again, they had to finish with time travel.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it's kind of frustrating. At least they do something somewhat interesting with it. But I mean, if you're like us and have seen this type of thing happen oh so many times. It may feel a little tired.
Yeah.
That said, I appreciate the work that went into it, the people they were able to bring back. I do lament the dark corridors. Oh, so many dark corridors.
Yeah, from season 5 to now. Like, we had so many dark corridor moments.
I'm willing to bet you could intersplice some scenes with scenes from Battlestar Galactica and not tell the difference.
Oh man, I can just see like the big fights in the pit,
and there were phones with cords on them too. What am I saying? This could totally be Battlestar Galactica. And there's killer robots.
Oh yeah.
And not to spoil, but how they deal with the Chronicron threat in the final episode. That absolutely.
That was a Battlestar stealth. That was a Battlestar stealth.
This was a stealth Battlestar Galactica prequel. That's what this was the whole time.
The whole time.
I made that as a casual joke about the dark corridors, and now I'm realizing I'm right.
Do you know now why Daisy went to space? Like,
yeah, she went to go found the Cylon race. Because remember, they're not really on Earth, and actual Earth was destroyed, and then they find the real Earth, so they got to go find the other not
not real Earth.
And then she's mitochondrial Eve.
Yeah.
Because all of Battlestar Galactica was leading up to Parasite Eve.
Exactly.
Man,
we found so many connections today.
I am loving this. It's a little awkward because I thought we were going to talk about the show for a long time, but we don't want to spoil too much.
No, it's so much that happens very early in the season, that if you talk about it too much, you'll definitely go into spoiler territory. And I feel that it's not, especially if you've kept up with it like we have. We shouldn't go out of our way to spoil it for people. But I will definitely say this. Now is the perfect time to watch it. Simply because it's one of those seasons that to me, it doesn't feel great episodically, but it feels great as a binge watch. Like, I would rather watch this in a couple of sittings than watch it every week like it was aired.
Well, especially with so many two-parters.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, overall, solid season. Probably better than... I'm trying to think which seasons were crap. Because I liked season 4 quite a bit.
Yeah, season 2 was great. I enjoyed season 2 a lot.
Yeah, and season 1 started got good once the big twist happened, which arguably happened too late in the season.
Right, yeah. Season 1, that was a rough one to get through. So I remember it took me so long to get back into it.
Yeah, and then season 3 had a couple of highs, but also some real lows.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. And like I said, season 4 was really good. Season 5 had that same problem with some really, really good highs, but then some really crushing lows.
Yeah, season 2 and 4 are probably the best ones, yeah?
Yeah, I will agree.
And then 7's got to be right in the middle somewhere with 2 and... not 2. Probably 4 and 5... 3 and 5. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
3, 5, and 7 are probably a bit of a toss-up.
Yeah.
But 5 definitely had the best ending of the 3.
Yeah, that's definitely a mid-tier... This is a mid-tier season.
Yeah.
Compared to, like I said, the apex of 2 and 4 were, the best 2 seasons.
Yeah, and then, 1 and 6 are probably the worst.
Yeah, I would say that... I hate to say that 1 is the worst, because...
I don't think 6 the worst. I've got no problem with that.
Yeah, I would have to say 6 is probably the worst. 1, I will say that, it had some rough goings at the beginning, but it got so good by the end. And I don't feel the same way about 6.
No, 6, no. They never justified that doppelganger plot.
No, not at all.
They never did. It's like season 1 of it's like the Star Trek Discovery, where I don't feel like they've ever truly justified Michael Burnham being Spock's secret sister. It's like, you never really have justified that to me. And it's the same, but and that's a crux of that show. Where in this case, season 6, one of the whole things is this guy looks like Coulson, and it's yeah, but you never really justified that.
Right.
And it just kind of became a damn fart. But overall, I'd say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., pretty solid action-adventure series. Some pluses, some minuses. It's funny, when the budget got shorter, in some ways the show got better.
Yeah, it really did. When they had the ability to do a lot more without, the confines of to a certain extent, of just primetime television, the show got a lot better. But then it got to the point, we can do anything. And they kind of went a little too far.
Yeah. Well, it's weird too because like season 1 it had the biggest budget probably.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, you know, the actors' contracts were at the lowest, and they were really riding high on Avengers, and so they're really trying to do the Marvel Cinematic tie-ins.
I mean,
really,
and there was a lot of hype. For people that don't know, that weren't around or paying attention when it was about to come out, there was a lot of hype and anticipation for S.H.I.E.L.D. when it first came out.
Oh yeah, and yeah, there was a lot of anticipation about the characters they were introducing and everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they had like. The guy who turned out to be Deathlock, there was actually some hope he was going to be Power Man.
Yeah.
He was going to be Luke Cage.
Yeah.
And yeah, it turned out to be Deathlock, and it's like, well, that's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But he still ended up being a pretty solid character.
Yeah, no, that was one of the standout points of season 1. Like, they really started off well with that one, but then we had a little bit of meandering, and then we finally picked it up at the end. But, yeah, I think a lot of people, once again, to a certain extent, just like with us talking about Avengers, had expectations that weren't necessarily fulfilled in the first season. But once we adjusted our expectations, and once, of course, the writing got a lot better, and the consistency and the storytelling got better, the show really kicked it off in high gear coming into season 2. Like I said, season 3 was a little bit up and down. Season 4 was another great season. And season 5 ended on a great high note. And that was like, to me, it's like, oh, this is the perfect 5-season show. And then, of course, you know, we had these last 2, but even with that being stated, I still think it was a very solid series. I don't know if it lived up to the expectation and the hype overall, but for me, I think it definitely had the staying power. It never made me feel like I didn't want to watch the show, which I can't say for certain other shows that have gone on this long, like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Man, I keep forgetting some of the stuff they did where it's like, hey, these characters are dead now. Because that's essentially what happened with Walking Dead at this point, where it's like, this character you might have been invested in, we're just going to cast, they died off screen, who cares?
Yeah, and I hate to go into a tangent about The Walking Dead, because this is not The Walking Dead, but still, I just hate the fact that, you know, we still had this whole idea of, okay, we got to copy the comic book, we have to kill off people that people do enjoy and get emotionally invested in, but we do such a poor job of building up any emotional investment in the new characters that you build up. On the contrast, thankfully, they didn't kill off a whole bunch of characters that we loved in the show, in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because we've had some close calls.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. It's like, I don't even care about Walking Dead anymore, but I'm
same here. I'm still trying to force myself, and I can't do it. I just cannot do it.
Yeah, like, I never felt like the closest I felt forced to was season 6.
Yeah, that was the only season, and for this season...
That's why I think it's the worst one.
and that's the biggest thing. Like, that was the season where I was like, okay, I'm watching a few episodes, and then I just stop. And then I have to just catch up on everything, because I had to put myself through it. I really couldn't. And this season was one of those ones where I just kind of got away from me, and I had to catch up on it. But once I started watching again, I was like, okay, cool, I'm back into it. It wasn't the feeling of, I'm wasting my time watching this show. And...
Yeah.
Even with some folly when it comes to season 6 and 7, I never felt that way, and that is really connected to some really solid writing, some great actors and actresses. Like, just seriously, I love the cast. I will forever love this cast, and the connections and the genuine. That's one thing I will give this show credit for. The cast genuinely felt like they enjoyed working with each other, and that made it for such a good show.
100%, yeah, and it seemed like just having fun.
Yeah, you could tell, like, there were some improvised moments and what have you, but to me, like, this is one of those shows where you can tell, like, the cast really enjoyed working with each other. And that made the show, even on the lower notes, much better for it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's much else to add now.
No, I think it's good to go. Solid series, glad that it happened, glad that it made it past that rough first season, and really into the second season, because I was thinking, like, with the ratings dropping so much after the first season started, I didn't think it would make it this far at all. And then, of course, you know, when season 5 happened, I was like, okay, you know, we made it this far. I'm happy we can end it right here.
Yeah, you know, still, I've seen worse legacies.
Oh, very much so. Oh, yes.
I'm not going to bring it up, name drop the thing I just retweeted specifically, but I just retweeted something that sums up my feelings about another series.
Oh.
Check Twitter a little bit.
All right.
But for now, let's wrap it up. So, you know, yeah, it's like Avengers, not great.
No.
Very disappointing, actually. But
Yeah.
hey, there's other games coming up before the end of the year that I'm super hyped about, so
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
Including
Between-
the PS5 version and the Xbox Series X version of Marvel's Avengers. With 2 packs of
Whoopty-frickin-do.
DLC. Of 2 packs of DLC.
Do you know what game I pre-ordered for the PlayStation?
Oh, let me think. I'm assuming Miles, but let's go with Demon Souls.
Nope.
Which one?
Yeah, because it's 7, baby.
Oh, for 4 or for 5?
Oh, it's technically the 4 version, but I'm plugging it into the 5.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because
Yeah,
they came out the same day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
November 13th.
Because I thought that the Series X one was coming out before. I couldn't remember.
No.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, they have the Series X exclusive, but the 5 version should be coming. But in the meantime, I've ordered the PS4 copy.
Okay, yeah.
Which I'll plug into the 5.
Yeah, I can do the same thing.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to let timed exclusive... Man, Sony really dropped the ball letting that exclusive get away.
I know!
I feel more bad about that than any other exclusive Microsoft has now.
I don't understand. Like, why would you let an exclusive that has been a PlayStation landmark for some time now, is really finally starting to hit its stride on PlayStation? You let Microsoft get the timed exclusive rights.
Yeah, it just reminds me how much I hate timed exclusives.
I know, same here. It was funny.
Whatever.
It was crazy because, like, I remember even back in the day, like, one of my favorite examples, like, really realizing how terrible of a timed exclusive was San Andreas. Mm-hmm. Because the PlayStation 2 version came out in October of 2004. And I think, like, Xbox players couldn't get it until, like, almost a year later.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I guess at this point, Avengers sucked. S.H.I.E.L.D. was pretty solid. Give it a watch.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, this is the perfect time to do it.
I don't know. Next time, let's talk about something maybe a little bit happier. I don't know. That's gonna be hard considering what we still got on the docket.
Oh yeah, there's a couple things I thought of, and I don't know if they're gonna be happy.
I don't think we're gonna have too much joy. Oh no! Actually, I thought of a movie we could talk about next time. So
okay, all right. I'll see if you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking then.
You probably are. All right. Well, until next time, folks. Just always remember, whatever it takes. James, you're supposed to say whatever it takes.
Oh, I just missed my cue. Line.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Bum, 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 bum. Bah, 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 bah.